We are back, guys, with another series of interviews, the last one of this week of Living Legends EU Masters Edition. We interview each one from each group, each representative. As you know, I'm always joined by my faithful caster friend Ice-T here and by the representatives of the Group 3, which are Breshtkata, the captain of Bulgaria, Bulat, which is captain of Italy, which had great success in this weekend, Elix, captain of France, and not last, CastMin, which is the representative of Austria. How are you doing, guys?
Good. Doing well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Are you ready to discuss some spice about the matches in the weekend? I think the most spice we had was... Yeah, I know your answer, Kata, after the Lidros control prank that Austria played, let's say.
It was not a prank, man.
I mean,
It was not a bait.
I didn't say it wasn't obvious. I did say it was a prank because they had a lot of decks that were Leaders Control plus one champion just to throw you a bit off.
I mean, they were targeting aggro. I mean,
Yeah, true.
they did well.
I mean,
What am I supposed to say?
we knew that you knew that we are doing it because you only pick control then. But
Yeah.
we knew it won't help because if you play with the same decks, like Trundle beats us easily, but Azul Leona is like not a good control deck, and we will still win. That's
Yeah,
what we
maybe.
thought.
I
Like,
mean,
we-
if it was Wuxeso versus the Kalista control Ledros, I guess it would be kind of close because we have a lot of healing in that deck. So you never know. You might not be able to kill us that easily,
With
and
the-
we'll just get a lot of value with invokes and everything.
I see, yeah, true. But we played them.
We should have gone for Wuxeso, but we thought you'd probably go for Ash Sejuani. That's why we wanted to go for maybe Draven, Darius, and rush you early on.
I see. Yeah, we prepared to play actually just this deck. Like if something unusual happens, like you switch a lot of decks, we will have switched to like the meta decks.
Yeah.
but not-
Yeah, and it's not like the deck actually has bad odds versus the control decks. We just drew really poorly. No early game and no late game.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, I was planning to save this question last, but CastMin, how did you guys come up with the idea of disguising this Ledros control list in all different shapes and forms and coming up with it?
Okay, the first thing is we had some decks to begin with, and we saw our best deck was like Ledros. So then we tested a lot of meta decks and all that, but then we just decided we're gonna just put multiple copies of Ledros deck because it's really good in tournament and has like always the potential to win, and that's about it. And it doesn't really matter if you have like one dead card in your deck. It sucked that we didn't have Trundle, but it's still fine without it.
And how did the lineup shape around this deck, or did you guys, I don't know, begin with those decks and then added Ledros control? What was the idea behind the lineup?
Yeah, and we just like the card Ledros, all of us. So we just had a Ledros deck, and then as you just said, we saw it was a good deck, and then we just did multiple copies of it. Because actually we didn't have many more decks. We could have we ran out of time and we could have copied meta decks or something, but then we just said we just copied the same deck we have. We at least know how to play it very well.
Was it a decision that came after ladder play, or were you guys like, okay, we are specifically doing this because something like Fear the Rush is banned, or were you comfortable just playing even into Fear the Rush because you could just ban it?
I mean, it's kind of both, because we all kind of laddered with Ledros stall before, so we had the experience, and then we just decided to do it like this because first thing, we saw the heavy aggro on Bulgaria's deck list from the previous day, and yeah, we saw the matchups. We had a matchup spreadsheet, and we just see that it's generally a good deck, so we just copied it. Also, I think my team doesn't like to play meta, so we just like theory craft, like Yu-Gi-Oh style, you know, and do some own decks. It's way more fun like this.
Well, that kind of leads right into actually week 1, day 1, where you guys were versus France, which is really interesting because we saw 2 different approaches. We also on cast discussed that you guys were a bit more unique in your lineup.
Yeah.
While France, Elix, you guys went for straightforward, really good decks in the meta. Care to elaborate? I mean, we can toss this to Elix first. What was your decision behind going for this lineup?
I think it's quite simple. We play for the win, and you have to come with 9 decks, which is a lot of decks. So you cannot have a soft or hard counter strategy. So we just decided to come with the best deck, the deck we are comfortable with. And I think it works the first week. The second day against Italy, we have been fucked by the spreadsheet. They played also very well, obviously, but I think that we have to watch out because Austria has great players. Weird or funny or interesting deck. It depends of how you look the decks, but it's always a surprise, so you have to take care of everything.
And did anything from Austria's lineup take you by surprise, Elix?
We have seen the double deck Ionia Dragon, so we knew that we couldn't take a very late control deck because they could beat us quite easily. So we decided to take the Scout because this is a mid-range aggressive deck, and we have been a little bit lucky because we got 3 Genevieve.
Yeah, true.
We are honest. We have been lucky on that, so we have been able to beat them quite easily because of the RNG.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, for example, the Hackerim Thrash deck that was seen quite a while ago, but it wasn't really like a tournament staple ever. It was only seen like in a few tournaments, I think a few months back. Why did you bring it? What brought you to bring this deck actually?
We just like tested some champions, like every kind of champion, and we saw just the deck perform good in general against every type of deck. And yeah, so we just played it as an opener because it's good all-rounder. And yeah, and we saw it like the next day. We failed with the deck, obviously. We had like really shitty draw, but that didn't like made us not play it the next day. We were still confident on it.
I mean, sounds nice.
I have a question for you, Elix, because you said that you are bringing the most decks that don't go up and down on the RNG side, but people don't really consider TF Swain a strong deck anymore. What's your take on the deck, and why did you actually bring it?
Sometimes you think that the deck is gone, is dead because you have a few cards removed or nerfed after a patch. For instance, the Kalista, the Wuhander, this is for me the same archetype. This is a sleeper deck. People think that it's over because Pluie de Balle, I don't know how to say in English, the thing that you have 3 targets, 1 damages.
Make it rain.
Make it rain, sorry. Have been nerfed, so TF Swain is fucked. We thought, and we tried to test the deck on the ladder, and it was still quite good. So that was a good idea for the first day, but the second day wasn't a good idea, and Bulat beat us easily with his Assault Leona. So maybe next week we won't play TF Swain again.
I mean, talking about the TF Swain, it's you guys brought out a rather aggressive list. I mean, would you say that the deck has now shifted towards being more aggressive mid-range rather than the slower, more controlly deck it once was? Yep. To Elix, would you say it's like... Huh?
It's for me?
Yeah, it's for me, sorry.
So I was waiting for. I don't know. To be honest, now you can play the KD cards. Field the Rush is insane. For instance, if you want to target the Iona decks, we have seen from Austria a lot of Shadow Ice decks. So the next weekend will be insane in terms of theory crafting, and I cannot wait to see the decks from Austria, from Italy as well, because you had a lot of Demacia deck, and we know that Meliadoro likes Ionia Demacia, and we know, of course, that Budget Kata play every single deck very well. So wait and see.
Okay. One last question I have for the matchup, Charmin. There was a moment we were talking about like minimizing RNG, and I feel like in the Hacker and Thrash game you might not have been able to actually show the deck, because there were like a few low rolls you guys had. I remember a moment where you rolled a Caustic Cask from a Warden Spray, and this was I feel like quite the opposite to what your game plan actually was. How did you feel in that moment?
Yeah, like it's true. We had like a really bad draw. Like we had so many bricks and useless cards, and I mean that happens. It happens all the time. But we were still confident that that was a good deck, as I said, and we just played it next day again. We were a little bit like mad about it, just a little bit, but it's fine. I mean, it happens.
It's a card game.
Yeah, it's a card game. It always depends on RNG.
Was it actually a low roll? Because I think you guys were discussing it on the restream and you are saying you can attack with the Caustic Cask and Hecarim levels. So I don't know about that one.
Yeah. Anyway, it was funny. Like I watched the VOD and I saw the Twitch stream, the chat asking why is there a cask, and they even thought we were putting cask in it, even though it wouldn't be like an option to put a cask in a deck like this.
Oh yeah, wrong regions.
Yeah.
I don't think Caustic Cask will ever be a good card that you put it in a deck. It's just a good token card, and that's just about it. But I've got a question for both of you guys. I want to know which decks or which deck did you think were the, let's say, not the best, didn't perform the best, the weak links, if I can say that. Elix, do you want to begin with that one?
If you want. Discard aggro. Maybe with the buff of this Jinx, next week it will be a good option, but this discard aggro was a coin flip deck, and this is not the best deck for this kind of tournaments format, I would say.
How about you, Charmin? What deck did you think was the weak link in your lineup?
I can't remember. I think it's Azul Leona, because it's not in general a good control deck. It lacks like AoE removal. Like if the board gets too wide, you're in a trouble, and you just can't come back with like stuns from Leona, but you can't really come back. You have to like raise the board, and if you don't like play every turn a unit, you're like a little bit fucked. That's what I think.
Alrighty then. So I think we can move to another match that was behind the camera, and that was France versus Italy, because Bulat, I see you a little bit impatient there. How did the match go for you guys? Let's put aside the fact that the lists were a bit fucked. Let's put that one aside. What was the strategy of the lineup? How did you think about the bans? Stuff like that. Let's begin with strategy, for example. We cannot hear you.
Nice.
In the meantime, we could pass it back to Elix and.
So you have three players: Meliadoro, Bulat, and the third one, Broken Ball. Broken Ball is a tournament player. We know him. He likes control deck. Then you have Bulat, which is I think he's an aggressive player. He really likes a
Yeah.
face aggro deck. And after you have Beliadoro. I think he's a spammer of Ionia Demacia. So when we have seen like 5 or 6 decks with Demacia, we weren't surprised. We said, okay, this is the team Demacia. And we tried to start with TF Swain because Bulat was the pilot, and we knew that Bulat wasn't a control player. So we decided to take a TF Swain to counter every single Demacia mid-range aggressive deck. And we have been absolutely fucked, outbrained, and they played the most control deck in their lineup, which is Asol Leona with Demacia. So that's it. And that was perfect.
Do you listen to me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I was saying our lineup was kind of similar from week 2, from day 1 and day 2, and we added the dip, if I remember, and it was just to counter War Mother in case we decide to don't ban it, but it wasn't the case. And yeah, then we played Asol Leona because I cannot say. Okay, I'm not a player of Asol or Leona neither, but Broken Ball, I know he is a good control player. Meliador played this deck a lot, even in ladder. So I thought, okay, I trust you. You can play it. I can just move the mouse and do what you tell to me, because yeah, I really don't know how this deck works well, and we won thanks to them. So the first win is just for them. I just moved the mouse for the whole game and listened to them, and I think it was a good call. Then we had the second game, and yeah, the problem with the list. I'm sorry for them. I will be very angry too if it would happen to us. But really, we were like, okay, what? Yeah, we don't know what happened, and yeah, we are sorry. Just that. We picked the what we picked. War Mother, because I thought, okay, probably they are going to play aggro, because I know that they will counter us if we play a mid-range deck, so they can play like Frostbite, or I don't know what we had what we could have played, but I don't remember now. But I thought, okay, if we play War Mother, we have like 4 good matchup and 2 horrible matchup. I think that they are going to play aggro, so it worked, but not for the reason that I that I thought.
I have to add something else. After the troubles that we had with the Google Spread, Google Sheets Sunday, we had a call, the French team, with Riot and with GG Entertainment, the organizer from Spain. And we have been a great call, like for 1 hour, and we were talking about the tools that they used, the trouble that we have been, all the things for 1 hour. And I just have to say one thing: they are fucking professional. They heard a lot, and things will change next weekend.
Okay, that's nice. I want to add one thing, because now I remember that in the list we saw that they had Elias Calista, but then when I saw the graphics that I don't know, maybe PGS post, I don't remember which Twitter page post the picks and ban. There were only Calista, and we were like, okay, it happens to us too. Obviously, for us was much better the problem, but yeah, it was like not so good. I'm happy to hear that Riot listen a lot of what you say. So I wish that for next weekend everything will be alright, because this time was to France, next time could be to us or any other nation of the tournament. So yeah.
I'm
Oh,
glad.
it's good to hear that Riot has it handled and that they are immediately taking action.
Yeah, because they don't want, I guess, to turn friends to foes just because of some technical difficulties, because that's something awesome about the community. Even you play in a tournament, you go head to head, after that the people are very friendly, they can chat with each other, and let's not break that atmosphere, right? And
Yeah.
I actually am curious about something, Bulat. You said that you are not really a fan of Control, but did you start being a fan, or maybe did you start enjoying playing Control just by listening the guys helping you pilot the deck? Is it more enjoyable now that you listen someone piloting it?
Okay, so yeah, I think that it's much easier if Broken and Melia can teach me. I started to play a lot of control deck now since that I start to qualify, but the problem wasn't the control deck because I know how to play War Mother. Know a bit how to play Veimer, but I never played Leona decks, and the only Isol deck that I've played was Trundle Isol, and I played it just for like 6 or 7 games. So I don't know. The fact is, I don't want to identify myself or my team itself as control player, aggro player. We have to know we have to play anything for win this tournament or to go to survive as longer as we can. But so we have to start to play every single deck, every single category of deck that is combo, aggro, mid range. I don't care at all. So yeah, we have just to learn and start to play everything.
All right, and we have Broken Ball in chat here that says he's not a
Yeah.
Control player.
I know he is one of the guys that know how to play everything because he play control deck, he play mid range deck, he plays aggro deck. Yeah, I think he's the one that can carry us more because he know how to play everything. Maybe me and Melia are more prepared about mid range and aggro, but yeah, it's not everything, you know.
Yeah, coin flip. You learned him well. You taught him well. And now let's shift a bit the matchups, because day one I think it was you guys from Team Italy versus Bulgaria off the cameras, if I remember correctly. Could you guys walk us a bit through the decks, through the ban phase? Tell us what happened.
Okay, so I remember the pick. I remember that they picked the TF Swain 2 times, and we played Garen Elite on the first game and Frostbite on the second. Garen Elite was a team call because the day before we had to send the list to Riot, we were like, okay, we have 7 decks. We need now 2 decks that can go well against TF Swain or whatever it's very played in tournament. So we played. We took Leona Isol for the control deck, like TF Swain or Warma or whatever the control deck is, and we picked the Garen Elite. I've played Garen Elite a lot, really a lot, for qualify for the U Master. So I was very confident with the deck. I used to play it with Shadow Isle, with the 9 mana spell. I don't remember the name in English.
Ruination.
The one. No, not Ruination. The other one.
Arrowing.
The Arrowing. Yeah, thanks. I used to play it with Arrowing, but we know that Arrowing wasn't that stronger in tournament, so we played more for the board control, and it works because no one expect the Garen, and no one know how to play against it. And yeah, TF Swain versus Garen wasn't the matchup that we want, but it worked out. And for the second game, we just picked the Ashe Sejuani because it was very good against most of their decks, and we were like, okay, we picked just a confident deck. We know how to play it, and yeah, it was a good call for us, both deck.
How did the matchup feel from your side, Kata? Could you tell us a bit what happened in the mind of Team Bulgaria, their strategy, their ban?
Um, well, we saw that they brought a lot of Demacia decks, so we will try to like leave pretty much all of them, and if somehow they leave our Trash Ash, that would be a free win. TSN should also be a free win, and we have another decks like Discard Aggro, which also has like a very favorable matchup. Unfortunately, we had no flocks for our matchup versus the Monogaren Demacia. And that was very impactful because we struggled to remove the board, and they gained more and more tempo the longer the game went. And yeah, the only way we could have came back was on the turn when we played Leviathan, if they didn't have Relentless Pursuit to kill us then, but unfortunately they did have it. So yeah, and the second game was again we didn't have that much early game. I think we were playing slowly, but also we were feeling in a good spot. But then they played Triferian Assessor.
Yeah,
right after they played Hard Guard.
I have to say that we get very lucky because we top deck the
I know.
the Trifarian, and we are like, oh yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and you drew 3 cards, and that was like a huge tempo gain, and
Yeah.
you got so much resources. We were like, so now if they keep playing more heavy units, the only way we can win is if we don't play around Reckoning. And when you played Ash, we played our Arachnoid Sentry, and then you played Reckoning. And we were doomed again. Like, we had no Chumbokers, like House Spider would have probably saved us that turn, but we didn't have it. We had no Chumbokers to save us in that spot. Again, we had only one fog, but we used it on an Ash earlier. I don't know, like the TF Swain deck kind of didn't perform that well, but it should have been a free win, in my opinion. It should have been.
So would you say that TF Swain was the weak link in your lineup?
Probably, yeah. I mean, against Demacia, it should have won convincingly at least. But then again, we lost. It is what it is. I mean, I'm not mad about it.
Yeah,
I'll just come back stronger next week. I mean, this week. Yeah.
Yeah, this week, not next week. If you come back next week stronger, yeah.
Next week might be already late for us.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I mean, it's the O2 comfort zone. It's the O2 comfort zone, right? Whenever EU teams are behind in a tournament, that's a real comfort zone. Now you are basically the underdog, and that's a comfortable position. Yesterday, we actually asked some of the players from Group 4 what they are comfortable with, and most of them actually said they were more comfortable being the underdogs. I don't know. This group especially also has like a couple of favorites to win a whole tournament, but would you say that being the underdog is a comfortable position, Kata?
Yeah, definitely. Like when I started playing in the big tournaments and no one knew me, being the underdog actually felt really amazing because most players were expecting wins from guys like BBG and Fresh Lobster, who were gaining the popularity early on. And yeah, I mean, there was like no pressure, just play your game, focus on it, and just make sure you close up the game for yourself. To be an underdog is very powerful, in my opinion. But what's more powerful is to be 0-2 down and then come back strong.
Yeah.
If you gave your team that pep talk as well, I think you can come back stronger for sure. And I am actually curious, guys, because we know this spectator thing is happening now. Do you think you can prep in time for the tournament, or do you think that theory is enough in order to prepare for the tournament?
I don't think 3 days is enough time. It will be a mess. It will be a mess, but we'll see.
I don't think that we are going to use it because, yeah, 3 days is not enough. Maybe the next week, but not this one.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of theory, I think, behind, because you cannot just go ahead and play because everyone is gonna see your decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah.
How do you feel about it, Elix?
I think it's a great news because, as you know, Flaxo has a terrible English, but he also has a terrible connection, so he cannot play at this tournament. And just to let you know, Flaxo is the best French players. Definitely the best French player since weeks. We all knew it. We are all agree about it. Flaxo is just a genius, and now he will be able to play. So for us, that's a very, very good thing.
Yeah, we were mentioning when we took the interview that he's playing weird stuff with Yasuo and he's winning.
He's really
I saw him yesterday in ladder. I was like, why someone is playing Yasuo? Guys, why?
And did he win?
Yeah, I won, but it was a tough game.
Oh.
I have to say, and he just found one Yasuo. I was very lucky because with another Yasuo, he will for sure get the win.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was more of an unlucky draw, I get it.
Yeah, but it's the problem of Yasuo. It is a strong card, but it's not that much supported from the rest of the deck. So if you don't find the Yasuo, you're just fucked.
Yeah, the decks, the Yasuo decks are usually hyper built around him. But we just been mentioning that there is a new patch now, and there might be chaos. But yesterday we also asked the questions if players like having patches in between the tournaments or not. And actually yesterday they agreed they actually liked having a patch in the middle because it adds some spice. But it also adds some insecurity, I would guess. So this is a question that goes to all of you. All of you can answer this. Are you happy about the new patch, or are you a bit nervous?
I'm kinda
I don't know.
happy. I'm kinda happy about this patch. Yeah, it's very spicy. I think its real change is maybe the best they ever did. I think that now it really is a very interesting card. It's not broken like before, but is not weak like the last patch. Yeah, and also we have the Trundle nerf, which is very good because Trundle was a completely meta definer in ladder and in tournament. So we don't have to build our lineup against War Mother just because it's too strong. Then we have TDA card that are very good for tournament too, and I think that there is even the Jinx buff, which is very, very good, the Lucian buff, which is very, very good. I think that Lucian now will see more and more play, but I don't know if if it will replace Scout or not, but I think that we can try to play Lucian to play a more aggressive deck. And I don't remember. Vladimir changes seems very interesting, but I don't think that is enough to let him meta or near. And Tariq changes no, just not enough, not so good. And Shyvana once was very good, not just for Shyvana, but even the 7 mana Drake. I don't know the name. I never played.
The Eclipse Dragon.
The Eclipse Dragon, yeah. I think that's 7/7, turn 7. Yeah, I think now the Master Drake with Azol could be a very strong deck now. But yeah, we have to test a lot for ladder and for tournament, obviously.
Kata, you wanted to say something. Do you wanna go ahead now?
Did I want to say something?
Or were you just puffing around because you didn't like the changes?
The changes are okay. I mean, I like them a lot. Ezreal seems very interesting now. Like, he got a huge buff on his level up condition, but they changed the effect on the way he deals damage. So we'll see how this actually turns out. A lot of people are probably going to test him with SI, and we will see if this is the best combination for him. I don't know if he's tournament viable though. I don't know if he's strong enough to do that. But we'll see. We'll see this weekend.
This weekend, I think we will see quite many things that no one expects. Maybe it's going to be a bit chaotic. One thing that we asked players over the last 2 days was actually the tournament format, and a lot of them agreed that they liked the format, but it would have been way better as a best of 5. And I don't know if you guys agree or disagree.
I definitely agree. It was intended to be a best of 5. And I think that would give everyone more opportunities to play the games and have more chances to qualify as well. And the way they shifted it to a BO3 was, I don't know.
They changed 5 or 6 days before the start of the tournament.
Yeah, it was just too fast and kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, and they had to reorganize the visual because it was best of 5. The O Gaming TV told us that we have to make an update because it's best of 5. Oh, come on, a lot of work. So yeah, I think the format is good. I wouldn't say this is an esports tournament. This is a test before the real esports circuit next year. But for now, that's a good mix between the show, KDA, we're going to dance this weekend, and the esports with some strategies. So for me, I'm quite fine with that.
Yeah, it seems like it's not only a cool tournament for players, but also like great advertising. So it's also enjoyable for the viewers. So okay, nice to hear your opinion on that as well.
How about you, Charmin? What do you think about these changes and about the tournament format? Do you think it has any impact on your performances?
I think like the best of 3 is like it's fine because we have like 2 chances to play. We play against the same country again, so that's fine in a group phase. But it's gonna be best of 3 as well in elimination. That's a little bit, you can just like lose one game with bad draws and then you're almost out of the tournament. That sucks. But in a group phase, I think it's fine, best of 3. And about the patch, I read them. It was quite a good patch. I mean, like Trundle got nerfed. That's the most important part. Just too broken. And in general, I like patches in between the games and that KDI cards are allowed now because then you have like adapt every week and you have to play other cards and other decks. If you play on the same patch for like 3 weeks, we're just gonna play the same decks for 3 weeks. Probably that's boring.
Yeah, and regarding the tournament format, yesterday we had Pokrovac, which told us about the insane preparation that they undergone, and they said that they or him personally would prefer the best of 5 because you kind of minimize the low rolls that you might get. If you play just 2 games maximum, maybe 3, if you get in one game low rolls, in which you're supposed to be favored, it's gonna be very hard to come back. What do you think about that one, guys? Elix, for example, what do you think about that one?
Sorry, could you repeat?
In the best of 5 you have more chances to minimize the risks, because in best of 3 you just, if in one game for example you draw poorly, it's hard to come back.
I know what I mean. Okay. Yeah, I would say, for instance, when you play TF20, you don't have a good milligun or you don't have your flock, you're a little bit fucked. Best of 5 is a little bit better because if you are good players, which means you're playing a lot of decks, a lot of different type of decks, aggro, discard, mid-range, all these things, combo decks, you can make the difference. Best of 3 is less competitive, I would say, in terms of esports. So yeah, is it clear?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
clear. We are nearly drawing to the end of the interview because we kind of exhausted the points. Ice-T, do you have anything that you want to ask our participants for next weekend?
Well, maybe not for next weekend. I think there's one thing we haven't discussed too much. I mean, it's just really short. I think in the Austria versus Bulgaria game, this is something that Kata mentioned before the stream. But you were saying that you actually would have liked to to pick the Lux deck again. And this seems interesting. Do you think that your strategy was to ban out the more heavy combo decks and then go in with your own control decks? Because this is what kind of it looked like from the pick ban phase.
Yes, it was kind of like that, but it was also we want to leave some decks that would be good for our aggro decks, because they were always going to leave our aggro decks like 100%, and we wanted to have maybe 1 or 2 good matchups for discard or GLE's aggro. So we wanted to leave decks like Ash Sejuani or Scouts, for example. Because Draven Jinx and Elise Aggro should be able to melt those quite easily.
Okay.
So yeah, we wanted to make room for our control decks, but we also wanted to make room for our aggro decks. We wanted to have availability, most of all, I think. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
what I want to say is like you banned like the Zed Lee Sin deck, and like Zed Lee Sin is not that good against aggro. So we already
wait. Yesterday. No. What am I saying? Yesterday.
Sunday.
Last week on Saturday, the version you played, Zedli, was running triple I and triple potion, and we tested that deck versus all of our aggro decks, and it was beating them.
Okay,
So that's why we thought that it's maybe not a good option to leave that, because our aggro decks would not be able to beat that, and our control decks, again, you have Lee, so would lose probably.
Yeah, but you didn't know we had this in it. That's the thing. But usually, the usual Lee Sin Z deck will like counter control because of the 9.
Yeah.
And then we thought you will play more control. That's one of the reasons why we played Hack and Thresh, because small tempo like an okay against control.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, we just thought that you'll probably bring Health Potion back because of our heavy aggro lineup, and that's why we thought it was probably a safe ban.
The question is, you guys, do you get the lists after the game? So were you able to confirm that it was the potion list? Okay.
Yeah, it was after the games. Yeah.
I mean, then for next weekend, I hope you guys will bring some spice, obviously. But I just personally, I wish you all good luck. I'm super excited to see what's going to happen, because right now I think all of the groups look pretty similar, like from the match scores wise. But I think like in every group there's a potential for the next few weeks to everything shake up a bit.
Yeah.
One last thing.
You know.
I have seen several mistakes from different countries, but not in the Group C. So I'm not happy, because Austria, Italy, Bulgaria played very well. They had some decision making, but they didn't make a single mistake. When I have seen Poland against Latvia, for instance, you had a lot of mistakes. When you have seen Spain, they are all great players. Maybe this is the pressure, I don't know. But when you have seen Spain for the first game on the tournament, Spain with their Nocturne deck, it was
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes as well. So for me, I would like to go to the group A or B.
So, would you say that this is kind of like a group of death, where you have like a ton of good players, but only two teams can make it out?
Yeah, I think the group C has the same level